How do we reconcile Genesis 6:6 and Numbers 23:19? One verse says that the Lord repented, and another verse says that he doesn't repent. So let's get both passages. We need Genesis 6:6, and then we read Numbers 23:19. So we'll start in Genesis 6:6. Genesis chapter 6, and we'll look at verse 6. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. So in Genesis 6:6, it's fairly clear that the Lord repented, and it repented the Lord that he had made man. When it says that, what is the meaning of that verse? In other words, when it says that the Lord repented, what is it saying? Is it saying that God stopped his pattern of sinful behavior? Well, that's obviously not what it's saying. But if you just read the verse, don't you get the sense of it that the Lord is grieved in his heart about man's behavior? And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. So in Genesis 6:6, the Lord clearly repented. Get Numbers 23, verse 19. Numbers chapter 23, and we'll look at verse 19. Numbers 23:19. God is not a man that he should lie, neither the Son of Man that he should repent. Hath he said, and shall he not do it? Or hath he spoken, and shall he not make it good? And so you see the issue here. Genesis 6:6 says, and it repented the Lord. In other words, the Lord repented. Numbers 23:19, God is not a man, neither the Son of Man, that he should repent. The sense of Numbers 23:19 is that God not only doesn't repent, but can't repent, because he's neither the Son of Man that he should repent. So what do you do if there's a verse that says God repented, Genesis 6:6, and there's a verse that says God doesn't repent because he's God, Numbers 23:19? Well, what's the answer? Well, I suppose one answer is you could say, well, the Bible contradicts itself. That's obviously an unsatisfactory answer. So what is the correct answer? We're going to look at the Webster's 1828 dictionary. So you can see here I've pulled up the Webster's 1828 dictionary. We're looking at the word repent, and we'll look at a couple different definitions here. As you well know, words often have different meanings. In other words, the same word can be used in multiple different senses. So let's just look. There's multiple in here, as you can see, but I'm going to just focus on the first three. So repent, first meaning, to feel pain, sorrow, or regret for something done or spoken, as to repent that we have lost much time in idleness or sensual pleasure, to repent that we have injured or wounded the feelings of a friend. A person repents only of what he himself has done or said. Second, to express sorrow for something past. Third, to change the mind in consequence of the inconvenience or injury done by past conduct. Now, in looking at those three different senses of the word repent, let me ask you this question. Of those three, which of those meanings is closest to what we read in Genesis 6:6? And I'll remind you what Genesis 6:6 said is, and it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Which of those three is closest to that? Well, it's number one, isn't it? To feel pain, sorrow, or regret for something done or spoken. Now, obviously in Genesis 6:6, God didn't sin. When God created man, God didn't sin. But was God grieved because of man's behavior? And the answer is that he was. God was grieved in his heart. Now in Numbers 23:19, I'll read the verse in which one of these is the closest sense. Numbers 23:19, God is not a man that he should lie, neither the Son of Man that he should repent. Well, which sense is the word being used in Numbers 23:19? And it's the third one. To change the mind in consequence of the inconvenience or injury done by past conduct. So actually, just you're in Numbers 23:19. Let's read a couple more verses so you get the sense of the context. So Numbers 23:19. Behold, I have received commandment, or verse 19. God is not a man that he should lie, neither the Son of Man that he should repent. Hath he said, and shall he not do it? Or hath he spoken, and shall he not make it good? Well, the idea there is, does God say things, and then he thinks about it for a while, and he realizes, I never should have said that, and so I'm going to do something else? Is that what God does? No, he never does that. When God decided to bless Israel, did God see their behavior for a couple hundred years and say, well, in Genesis 12, I thought this was a great idea. But then things played out, and now I wish I wouldn't have done that. You realize that God doesn't repent in that sense. He doesn't change his mind. When God decrees, this is who I'm going to bless, and these are the things that I'm going to accomplish with them, he doesn't repent. He doesn't change his mind about that. So, to answer the question, what do you do with the verses that will say God repented and other verses where it says God doesn't repent? You can either say, well, the Bible is contradicting itself, or you can simply observe what is obvious, that the same word can be used in different senses. I'm just going to say one more thing to just make this obvious. If you take the word run, sometimes the word run means to sprint, to walk really fast. Sometimes the word run means to execute a program. Like, in other words, you need to run this operation. Well, the word run has multiple different meanings. And so what you do is when you see the word run, you look at the context in which it is being used to determine the sense of the word. The same thing is true with the word repent.